Finishing out the weekend here on Share Shot Reality. I'm Justin LeBar. Alongside me is Juice Springsteen. You can follow him on Twitter at JuicySteen. The face for radio has advanced up to the video world.
It's about time.
About time. Well, it's about time that the Cruiserweight division has returned to WWE. WWE used to call them the lightweight, but I think Cruiserweight's the name that we all prefer much more. It's how WCW branded them. And also is a Cruiserweight title, which was awarded at the end of the CWC tournament that took place this past Wednesday night on the WWE Network. Juice, I know a lot of these guys. I know you're fans of or were familiar with their work. Give me your impressions of the CWC finals.
Well, the whole tournament in general
show,
was just incredible. The tournament was spaced out over a long period of time, and they had the Global Cruiserweight Series at first, and no one really knew what was going to be entailed with the whole thing, and it turns out to be the 32 best guys, pretty much like the best ones.
It's like a Cruiserweight Olympics.
That they possibly...
They base it around where they're from.
Of course, yeah. And they literally got the 32 best that they possibly could get. And with the final four being Ibushi from New Japan and Zack Sabre Jr., who's gone around the world. I saw him in PWG. And then Gran Metalik and TJ Perkins, who used to be Manic in TNA.
Sure.
Those two guys were in the final. To the chagrin of a lot of people who thought Ibushi and Sabre Jr. from the start, as soon as they were announced in the tournament, before even seeing they're in separate brackets, were going to be in the final.
But Sabre Jr. was one of the guys that I predicted before anything that would
definitely.
make the final.
I thought they were going to be in the final too.
But I also thought Gargano. But I understand, and obviously you know where I'm going here. I understand. People were upset that Ibushi and Sabre Jr. weren't in the finals, and the reason being, if you're not aware, it's not because they're not good enough, but it's because they have not signed an exclusive deal to continue working with WWE. They still want to
explore other options.
Which I can't say you necessarily blame them.
Kota Ibushi said that this is a great thing, but he wants to still explore and do stuff in NJPW. And Zack Sabre the same way, except I believe that he's more of the, I want to fine-tune my craft and get the best I could possibly be at the stage where he's at now before any sort of
they're
big
young
thing.
guys. Yeah,
and I don't think they need to go to the WWE to make a name for themselves, clearly, as they're,
Well, they don't,
right
and they're young guys, so it's not like they can't be part of next year's CWC, assuming this is an annual thing. And
one of them could win it next year.
Right, and they win it next year and they sign next year. Yeah, right. They could up their stock over the next year.
And the names are so big that they don't need the WWE machine to get them over anywhere else to where they can not get any work. Now, when it gets down to the finals, Gran Metalik, who I thought was actually going to win the whole thing, once I got to the Final Four because of who I knew was signed and who wasn't signed, versus TJ Perkins. It was a great match, but TJ Perkins came out on top, and Dixie Carter somewhere is crying, with Manic not being there anymore and it being this way. And then they give him the new belt, which looks fantastic, by the way. It's not a WWE title like all the other ones look like. It's a new purple belt and everything. So I'm very excited to see it go on Raw. I'm hoping that it's more of what happened on Nitro back in the day, which was the Cruiserweights are the best thing happening on Raw to start off the show. And with the guys that they're going to get, it's not Hornswoggle, it's not Chavo Guerrero and rehashed guys.
Okay.
These are these guys who came in, Gargano, all these guys, and I think it's going to be a great thing for Raw. And with Clash of the Champions coming up, the title's going to be on the line.
Absolutely, and I think one of the great things that WWE could do, as you said, following the WCW Nitro model to an extent, is by putting them in the first hour. Back when Nitro and Raw were going at it and the Cruiserweights were a big part of the Monday Night Wars, it was an older demo that was being aimed to. But now, a lot of kids watching WWE brands a lot of their content towards the youngsters. And the Cruiserweights are very, very kid-friendly. From the high flying, it has a very superhero kind of feel. So absolutely putting them on the first hour when the kids are still awake or whatever the case may be, definitely could be a strong winning formula.
I hope they follow that formula. Again, I don't think it's going to lead down.
You can put 3 matches in the first. That covers the first 3 hours.
They really could, and I think they can have enough people that they can get in there. Even some no name or lower name guys that may not even have been in the tournament that could pop in for a match or two. James Ellsworth,
the new Barry Horowitz. What's going to be really what I'm interested to see is if, and I know Vince would probably want to do this, is if the Cruiserweight division in WWE on Raw is going to be. If it's going to be just a lot of babyface versus babyface, just because they work such a fan-friendly style, and it's almost more about just seeing the clash in the ring.
It's just a work rate style, yeah.
Or are we going to get? Or is Vince going to really try to get some devious heel tactics behind certain characters and guys, and have more traditional heel face? And will it work? I'm curious to that.
I don't know if I would. I'm not against the idea, and I think he probably would try to do that in some way. I don't know if it would work. Right. It all depends on who you got in there.
Or maybe he lets Triple H handle the booking of CWC, but I have a feeling if it's on Raw, Vince is going to...
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I think it's a great thing that happened, and I'm glad that they did it, and as long as it goes next year and they keep getting these guys the Cruiserweights should stay for a long, long time.
I don't think that we have any debate about that. I think this is the start of hopefully something really good. Well, I want to end the weekend here on a kind of a personalized note. One of the performers tomorrow night that we expect in the Cruiserweight division on Raw is Johnny Gargano. I first started working on the independent wrestling scene in 2010. My first show was October of 2010 in Cleveland for what was then Pro Wrestling Ohio, PWO. And it was I got there, it was 4 weeks of TV tapings, and who was on the main event for those TV tapings? Well, you guess it. I can't even recall the last show when I saw Johnny, nor do we talk regularly or anything like that. But I've been around him and I've been around the business enough to speak intelligently on this platform, but I'm still far enough away from him where it's not like I'm pandering to my best buddy. This is simply meant to be a good luck to a guy who I've never seen be anything but professional, to the top, to the bottom, no matter where you were in the card. This is a little positive note of some memories about someone that when you hear and watch the packages of Johnny's long road of work to get to WWE that I'm sure their production will produce, or if you hear about the moniker of him being called Johnny Wrestling, I want you to be able to digest it all and maybe even reference this speech and go, yeah, LeBar mentioned this guy. He's one of the good ones. Professional and great work ethic. All I can say is here's your reality check. Johnny Gargano, well deserved. Go get him. We'll see you next week on Chair Shot Reality.